Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. And a little bit of a unusual podcast, but one I think is going to be really, really valuable. Um, yeah, it's a funny one. Okay, let's begin. Let's begin the story. So, today's podcast, I'm wanting to share two different experiences I had. Um, and it's based on two services that I actually offer, one which is like a future service and one which I currently offer. And it's an experience that I had with a medicine walk last week and also a forest therapy session that I had last week. So I'm currently training to be a forest therapy practitioner. And you may have heard of forest therapy before, or forest bathing, or Shinrin Yoku, which is the Japanese name for it because this practice originates from Japan. And I've been studying this for a few months now. I'm now at my case study stage, and as part of my my things that I need to deliver to my course assessor, I needed to spend 5 hours alone in nature and, by myself in the forest, which I thought amazing. Wow, gonna love this experience. I'd had a really busy week. Anyway, I did not love the experience, but I'm going to come on to a bit about that and just some of the interesting takeaways I had. Then I also wanted to share my experience of a medicine walk I also had last week now, and explain to you the difference of these two practices. And I think this is kind of where my forest therapy session I kind of struggled a bit with myself, doing my own one, because it's very different from a medicine walk. So let me tell you a little bit about each of those things. So a medicine walk is something that has been done for thousands of years. By various cultures in the world to help really connect with nature, to get divine inspiration and answers, and to commune with nature. So there's a very specific intention when you're going on a medicine walk. You are specifically looking for that communion with nature, and it's very much symbolism based, sign based, listening to the messages from nature. And your forest therapy is very different from that. Your forest therapy is all about mindful awareness and really engaging with the senses. It just really helps you into a space of relaxation just through so slow, simple processes. So you're guided through some processes in nature. Um, and it's this real mindful approach. So it's more about what is happening in this present moment, like the reality of things, i.e. the texture of a leaf, the way a flower is moving, touching bark, connecting with our sensations of smell, of space, of touch, of sight, of sound. And by doing that, we begin to calm the nervous system. And this is something that's actually prescribed in Japan to support people with their mental, emotional health. The forest therapy supports the reduction of blood pressure, reduces the inflammatory response in the body, great for preventing diabetes. It's very, very science backed, the benefits of forest therapy. And yeah, so that is a little bit about both. So with the forest therapy, you're not setting an intention, you're being very present, very mindful of what is occurring in this moment. And that's where the physical, emotional benefits and things come from that. Whereas with the medicine walk, you are specifically setting an intention, almost like a bit like divination, and connecting in to see what messages you receive on a spiritual, mental, emotional level. So I had these two experiences lined up for last week. And I was doing my soul sanctuary call in the morning, with the lovely Susan Finlay. She was leading the sessions last yeah, the week that this occurred. And she guided us through a meditation about connecting to your authentic self. Now, when I did this meditation, I came to realize that, oh my gosh, I'm drifting again. I am drifting further away um from self, like, from this place that I found myself like drifting back to habits of overworking, of people pleasing, of living that faster paced life again, which through my illness, I had moved away from, and had become really aware of the habits and behaviors I had that weren't serving me, but I was falling back into those habits. And my authentic self was this nature loving, slow living, mindful person, not this person that's sucked into hustle culture. So I decided to go on this medicine walk to just really connect with, okay, like, what do I need to know about my business, about myself, about my life to really support me in aligning with this purpose? So I set that intention. I felt guided to go to a local stone circle. I felt guided to take some ceremonial cacao with me. And I arrived at the car park before walking to the stone circle. And as I arrived there, I was met with a lone magpie. Now, I, my family and I have this real interesting relationship with magpies, whereby um, we kind of grew up and we're always told that, like, one's bad luck, and two for a girl, three for a boy, all those kind of things, um and that they weren't a good omen. And when my mum had cancer, she would hear the magpies outside her window, and she would like be like, oh no, like, she saw the magpies as like this omen of death. And I had numerous experiences with magpies, and I wrote a blog about it, and I've probably spoken about it before. So I decided to research into magpie symbolism and stuff. And actually, they're not all bad, like in all cultures. And I made this little deal with myself that if ever I saw one, I would make a wish. I would transmute and transform that magpie relationship and make a wish. And they always remind me of my mum. And so I arrived, and here's this lone magpie, and I was like, "Oh, hello, here we go. Let this medicine walk commence." And walked along the path to Stone Circle again, another lone magpie. And then I got to the stone circle, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute. Like, you need to slow this down. Like, I just trusted my intuition and was guided that this is really sacred. Like, let's stop. Let's stop before you step into the circle. Let's stop and just take a breath. And I stepped into that circle, and as soon as I stepped in, I feel emotional just now, just think of it. I started crying, like, out of nowhere. It was just like these tears. And I sat in the middle of the circle and touched, there was like a stone in the middle on the ground, and I touched that, and I felt guided to take a sip of my cacao at each stone and see what message came through. Now, I started, I'm actually going to open the notes on my phone. I'm just thinking about that. I started at one stone and was guided, no, not this stone, and to go to another one. And so I went to the first stone that I was guided to. And let me see if I can find this. Should have probably looked this up. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah. So I started crying at the start, and actually I've just missed out a part because I see it, like I saved some notes on my phone. I sat down, and I'll link up this song in the middle of in the show notes. So I sat down in the middle of the circle, and I started singing a song. I can't even remember who it's by, but I will link it up, and it goes, "Grandmother, speak to me." And it was a song that I used in my metamorphosis course. And so yeah, I started singing the song to Grandmother Earth, Mother Earth, and to my ancestors. And I touched the first stone and took a sip. And um I was given this message relating to my work. and I touched that stone and I was given this message related to work. And then I moved on to the next one and was given a message about bullying and like really standing in my power. Then I moved on to the third one, which was again about work and working less and really cutting back again and again and again and simplifying. Then the next stone was enjoy the stage of life. The next stone was please do write. The world needs your writing. And then do a belief coding session as to why you're not writing right now. Now, I think I'd maybe made up the story that I wasn't writing right now because it was summer, I've just moved house, I prefer writing in winter. But yeah, it was an interesting message to receive. Then moved on and I was given a message about my coaching. Um, moved on, I was given a message about like it was like IT stuff, which was quite funny. And then simplify and sweep, nature, softness, fluidity. I was given some stuff about Japanese, Yungin, the beauty. Yeah, I've learned so much about Japanese culture through the forest therapy. So I was gifted some information about this Japanese culture. And then the last stone was so hilarious. And I wrote it here. And it started singing. Like if you think of Frozen and you know those like stones come to life kind of thing. It was like that. And it was like in my head going, jiggly juggly jug is what I've written here. Jiggly juggly jug. Jiggly juggly jug. And it was like this fun, playful, and it was like it's time to get fun and playful. Be that child that plays with the horses and really enjoy yourself. So I had this like mega profound experience, and I had to like timing wise, I actually had to be back in my home studio. I was delivering a forest therapy case study to a group. So I had all these messages come through that were so powerful. And then I came back and I hadn't had a chance to process it. And then I went and did my forest therapy session with my group. And again, they had incredible, profound experiences. And that was like it was really interesting for me to witness that because with the forest therapy I didn't really know, like I know how being in nature affects me, but I didn't know how it would affect others. And there were tears and there were emotions and there was clarity and inspiration and relaxation and all this incredible things from the forest therapy. So I had like a super hectic week. And then on the Friday, I was going to do my 5 hour session. So I was actually really looking forward to it. Um, just this 5 hours in the woodland, just processing the week because I'd done a lot of studying, I'd had a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of really cool stuff with work. And I went to the forest and it was raining. So stupidly, I didn't put my waterproofs on. And I walked out into the forest, and the first thing I become aware of is the incessant chatter in my head, the conversations that I am having with myself over and over and over. Um, the singing, like how I just like sing to myself when I'm walking along, and every so often something would grab me and pull me back to mindfulness, and like it was a robin, so a robin kept appearing. And then I felt guided like down the medicine walk route because then I'm like, oh, like what is the symbolism of this? And I'm like, no, like this is forest therapy. Let's not go down that route. Let's try and just really be mindful, so that you can experience these benefits. And it was so challenging. So it was raining off and on pretty much the whole time. I had my lunch with me, so I went to find somewhere to sit and eat my lunch. And then I saw a man walking his dog, and I become so self-conscious. Like I ended up going and hiding, like I hid in woodland, like really deep in the woodland, so that no one would see me. Um, and again, I guess there's all these metaphors for life and, this just like not wanting to be seen. Like I felt safe in the woodland, like hidden away. But then when I came out, I felt judged. I've like just felt really, really awkward. So I continued walking and just like so much negative thoughts and stuff were coming into my head. Like it was just really, really challenging. I'm trying to find my notes in my book because I did actually write my forest therapy session, like some notes as I was going. So you weren't allowed like your like phone or anything like that. Just as if I was like hosting a session. Um, but yeah, I had this real desire to hide. I then became really aware of how transactional life can feel. And I really felt this deep drawing to be more mindful in my life. Um, I felt like I was really missing deep connection, like I'd been craving, like I just wanted someone to speak to have real deep, meaningful conversations about life and work and how I was feeling and all of these things. Um, and because this month I spent so much time studying and doing case studies, like I haven't had a chance to process a lot of things. I'm a very reflective person, and I've missed that opportunity just to have those deep, meaningful conversations. Um, I also became really aware of how much I missed my horses, like having time with my horses and walking my dog, because again, I'd been so focused on studying and work. Um, and that made me feel really uncomfortable and quite sad, really. Um, I had a part-time job that I was doing, had a conversation with myself about leaving that job, which ultimately I have done. But just the chatter, like the mental chatter was really intense. Um, so I was then guided by like, okay, if this was an actual forest therapy session that you were leading, what would you be doing? So I gave myself some actions to do just to make it more kind of like connecting with nature. What kind of things could I do? Thinking about the colors, the textures, having a sit spot, noticing what's moving, not moving. Found a beautiful sit spot. And I sat there, and then there was like a young buck came, and he was like, he had no idea I was just sitting there, and I was just watching him graze and eat, and that was really, really cool. Um, then I felt really bad, like intense, like anxiety and nervousness about some situations I had going on in my life. Um, and yeah, it was raining and there was people walking their dogs, and I just felt really self-conscious just sitting, like people like, yeah, she okay? So I went like into this bit of deep woodland, and I shared a funny meme on my Instagram about like going to the woods at night. And basically I climbed into this ancient woodland, like over a fence, where there was like no paths, no nothing. And I found this massive tree, and I lay on its branches because the tree was so wide, like it was like literally the branch was almost the size of like a single bed. And I lay on this branch looking up, and I was like, oh, this is lovely. It's raining. I'm protected by this glorious big tree, just watching the leaves move in the wind. And then I heard a crack in the woodland, and I was like, oh shit, what was that? And I looked, and it was just like a young deer. So I'm like, okay, like maybe this wasn't the wisest move to come like through this random bit where there's no paths, like by yourself. And then as I walk along, then I see a skull of a deer. I'm like, okay, nice. And then I think, oh God, I hope there's not like any traps or anything here. So I start walking, then I see this random hut that somebody's built out of tarpaulin. Like there's no paths up to it, there's nobody about, like all the trees are overgrowing each other. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get out of here. So it's pissing in rain. I've been in the forest at this point by like over 4 hours. I'm cold, I'm tired. And so I tried to get out of the forest, but because there's no path and the trees that were there weren't like fir trees. I don't even know what kind of trees they were. I should have made a mental note. But they were like, it was like something from Blair Witch. All the branches were overgrown. So I literally had to put my hands up over my face and just like try to walk through them to get to a path. Then eventually get back to a road where there's a big truck parked and a trucker taking a wee. So I have to hide because I'm like, God, I don't want him to think I'm watching him. And then I don't want to walk out whilst he's having a wee. But great, I found like there's obviously a road here. Um, and yeah, it was just like, it wasn't what I expected it to be. There was pockets where I was like, this is absolutely incredible to be here, to be in amongst the like hawthorn, and they'd seen the deer and the flowers, and the sound of the rain and being sheltered from the trees was actually very soothing, like that sound of being in a tent. But then there was the other times where you're just alone with your mind, and it just shows you like how in our heads we are. And as a mindfulness teacher, I was really like intrigued and surprised at how overthinking my mind was. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to share those experiences with you. So these are two experiences I offer, should you wish. Um, and yeah, like the forest therapy, I finished my course on the 3rd of July, if I get my next essays in. And then I will be offering that as a service. I just need to do my outdoor first aid course, which I'm waiting to do. And the feedback from the people who I've taken out on those on that process has been so powerful. And just being like, how often are you, for 2 hours not on your phone, in nature, really guided to mindful practices? How often does that occur, and yeah, so much incredible feedback from that. Same with the medicine walk. It's just so insightful to recognize that we have this connection beyond this world. Like we have connection to plants, we have connection to our ancestors, we have connection to our angels, our guides, to Mother Earth herself. Like we are not alone, right? We are not alone. And I think I love now that I have these two modalities to be able to support people in connecting to nature in these two profound ways. And when I was ill, I said to one of my friends, Fiona, I had her around and I was doing like Reiki in the garden on her, even though it was like so windy. She was wrapped in all these blankets. And I said to her then, because when I was ill, the only time I felt better was when I was outside and like just sitting, like I couldn't really walk that much. And I said to her then, I was like, if I could move my whole business outside, I would. Like if I could, obviously I live in the northeast of Scotland. It's not always ideal. Um, and I just couldn't think of a way at that time to do that. But still thinking about that and bringing in like ecotherapy and forest therapy and really supporting people connect back with consciousness to all these powerful medicinal, therapeutic, beautiful things that we have, and also to create this relationship of gratitude to nature. The more we connect more deeply with nature, the more we will begin to preserve that for our children, for their children, and for the world itself, right? Because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the trees and nature. So yeah, we need to look after it. So yeah, a bit of a random pod today. Do reach out to me with any questions about any of this. As I say, like I just felt like I wanted to share it. Like I did record some videos. I was going to blog my medicine walk afterwards, but yeah, like as I said, it ended up being such a deeply sacred experience. I was just like, this is not the time and the place to do that. And I did share a little video of me afterwards, because I was just blown away with how incredible that experience had been. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on these topics. Have you ever done a medicine walk before? Have you experienced forest therapy? Is it something you would consider doing? I'm pretty sure I've got a blog on my website about medicine walks and how to have your own one. If not, maybe I should write one. I'm pretty sure I have already, but I will hook that up, and I will hook up the song that I spoke about. It's so powerful. And yeah, I am wishing you an incredible rest of week. Reach out, let me know your thoughts, and I will be back the following week. And I think I may have a beautiful guest. So I'm just about to go message her actually. And we are going to be chatting. It is nature related, but in a different way. So hopefully I get her on for next week, and that'll be amazeballs. Okay, wishing you a beautiful time. Thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you.